good morning from my favourite part of the world. Although, saying it's my favourite part of the world, it covers a vast area. It's probably one of the largest counties in the country. I'm in Sutherland. In fact, I'm in about as far northwest in Sutherland and indeed mainland Britain that you can get. I'm up in the far northwest, up near Loch. I didn't really need the bike to come in this morning. It was only about 3 kilometres, maybe 3 or 4 kilometres to come in from the road. But I don't know, it takes off maybe an hour's walk. It manages to take off the beginning and the end of the day. I quite like the idea of coming down weary from where I'm going up this hill and then finding the bike and actually being just to trundle downhill all the way back. There's a lovely feeling of smugness when you can just trundle out again and not have to sort of trudge on your feet, which I know are going to be sore after this because I haven't done this for a long time. I'm heading up Arkle, which is this enormous great big lump of rock. It's only 700 and something metres high, but it starts pretty much from sea level all the way down there. So where I've biked in from, the main road. But Arkle is one of a few of these giant big lumps of rock. I mean, truly a big rocky mountain. Lots of fractured quartzite at the top, so lots of scree. There's Arkle here, and behind it is Benvironment, which is much bigger and is about as close to being a Munro as you can get. Another great big monolithic hill standing all by itself over there. Then Stack across Loch Stack, which from here looks like it's, you know, quite a bit of a whale back shape, but if you see it from which way they're coming from the south, it looks like the Matterhorn. It's like a perfect triangle, a pyramid. Very, very striking hill. And as you can see, it's capped with cloud today, as is Arkle. When I was driving in from Loch, there's big heavy clouds sitting over most of the summits around here. Cloud is a bit of a cause for concern. It wasn't forecast actually, it's forecast to be another sparkling blue sky day like it was yesterday. I drove up yesterday from Fife all the way up here and it's about 200 miles non-stop of just the most stunning blue skies, snow, sunshine. Incredible, perfect marriage of colour, blue and white. Best combination you can possibly get. On the Saltire too, of course. Perfect colours for Scotland. Incredible drive up. Very still, very clear, very cold. Not a breath of wind. Alpine conditions, essentially. The same was forecast for today, but looking around this morning, I don't know really. I don't know if it's going to clear or not. Cloud may well sit there all day. I'm hoping, generally speaking, when high pressure sat over us like this, stuff like that should budge as the sun gets to work, but it is now after 11 o'clock and you'd like to think it would be starting to burn off. Over at Benvironment, over there, I can see that starting to come off, but I don't know, maybe it won't. 11 o'clock, it's quite late for me really. I'm more of a first thing in the morning person, but when I got up this morning and looked out the window excitedly, it's like Christmas. It's always like Christmas. Good weather on a winter's walk. It's like Christmas in the morning. Just couldn't, my heart sank a bit because it was so overcast. So I left it a little bit, so I've left it a little bit later. But it is now the end of February, almost beginning of March, and so the days are getting longer. And you've got usable light now until at least 6, maybe after, if it's clear. So I can afford to leave a little bit later. But not too late because I haven't done anything like this, anything big like this, in a long time. Not since last July going up Benvironment, because I'm still in recovery phase for the knee. Winter pretty much was a write-off. After I think the last blog I did, when was it? I was on Isla, that's right, in October, with high hopes that maybe I'd be right for winter, but it didn't happen. The whole of winter passed by with just maybe one fleeting walk up in the Oak Hills up Ben Clwch, and then a couple of weeks ago I was given leave to try something a bit bigger. I went up to the Lawes Reserve, the National Nature Reserve near Ben Lawes, and had a fairly low level in terms of not going up Ben Glass. I was going to go up Ben Glass, but I thought better of it. Had a really nice snowshoe, which was still quite hard work because I've not done, as I say, I've not done that for a long time, and if you don't keep up the fitness level that you've become accustomed to, it's quite sobering how quickly you lose that fitness. But the other day I had my last physio appointment before coming away, and she said, well, you could try going up something bigger like a Monroe, but you know, see if your knee's going to give you a jip on the way up, and if it does, turn around because you're going to put twice as much stress on it coming down. So if it's going to be giving you trouble going up, you don't want to be coming any further up than you've already gone. So rather excitedly I am heading up Arkle, but I don't mind admitting I am quite nervous and a little anxious really, because I've not done anything that's this wild, this big in quite a long time. Navigating with bad visibility, I've not done that for a long time, and that's something you really need to practice at, keep practicing at, to make sure you retain your skills. So I'm out of practice in fitness terms and in general hill sense, I suppose. So I'm quite apprehensive about coming up here today, which is why I'm half thinking if it's really grotty up there, I'll just turn back. I've got no interest in doing that sort of thing anymore. We'll see how it goes. Well, all the write-ups said it was very rocky, and it certainly is that. It's crazy rocky. Oh, that's the first sunshine in a while. It reminds me of heading up Cynag way out in Assynt the other way, which I can actually see. It's all the way over there. Which, incidentally, that hill is free of cloud, typically. I can see the tail fin of Sutherland over there as well, free of cloud. I think maybe I've picked one of the two hills that are actually properly cloud capped today. Nope. But I have high hopes. I'm confident it will clear. It might just take a bit of time. I might just have to linger a bit. There's nothing, as long as it's not too cold, I don't mind just sort of farting about here really, in the hope that it will clear, because there's an adjoining ridge between the top that you get to up here, which is kind of like a plateau, and then the proper summit of Arkle is joined by quite a narrow ridge, which is has a wonderful sense of exposure, I've heard. So I'm quite keen to see that. It's one thing to walk along those kinds of ridges in cloud, I suppose, when you get the sense that there's a yawning abyss either side of you. That could be quite a cool thing to do, but you just can't beat actually teetering on a ridge like that and seeing just how exposed you are. Or maybe it's a good thing that you don't see it sometimes, but I do think sometimes that when you're in cloud and fog, the sense that it's there but not knowing what's there can actually be worse sometimes. But I don't know, different people probably have different opinions about that. But yeah, it reminds me of Cynag, because that when you climb up there from the hill road that goes to Cailscú, it's a wonderfully rocky, slabby ascent, and it's really easy to gain height quickly. That was the one I was thinking of doing today actually, but from here, from Kinloch Burby, it's still a fair way actually. The road snakes its way south, twisting and turning, and it can take quite a long time to get anywhere around here. So I opted for Arkle because of the amazing forecast, but with the best will in the world, the forecasts don't always get it right. It's hard to generalise about an area as big as the North West Highlands. The Mountain Weather Information Service does an amazing job getting the weather right for the most part for much of Scotland, and it splits it up into all the different regions, of course, but even then, in a region as vast and as varied topographically as this part of Scotland, it can be difficult to actually, you can't hope to predict it accurately for every single square inch of upland terrain. Encouragingly though, Ben He now looks a bit clearer than it did just 10 minutes ago. So fingers crossed, but it can change just like that. It doesn't have to be a gradual thing, as anyone, I'm sure you all know, anyone who goes out in the hills knows that it's not just a case of it clearing over the space of an hour. Sometimes you can look up, look away, look back, and magically it's clear. I'm hoping that's going to happen today. Anyway, you might be able to tell from my voice, I'm generally feeling quite bouncy, feeling quite buoyant, simply because I'm out on a big hillside in snow, and it's something I've not really done much of. I haven't missed that. It's just nice to be out. I will be gutted, quite frankly. I've decided I will be gutted if the weather doesn't clear. But it's just nice to be out, especially in Sutherland, which, as I said earlier at the beginning, is my favourite part of the country. Massive county, really, really varied. You've got the blanket bog of over by Kimbrace and Forsenard and Ben Clibrec, one of the biggest blanket bogs in the world, of course, in the interior. And then, of course, you get down to the coastline. You've got Cape Wrath up in the northwest, not far from here. Assynt, Stour, Sullivan, Culmur, Culbeck, Loch Inver, all these amazing places, this stunning, stunning coastline. And it's very, very wild, very quiet, very remote. And as I have said before, it wasn't always the case. There used to be thousands of people living here, and they've all since been cleared off the land in the 17th, was it the 18th and 19th centuries, wasn't it, that the worst of it happened in Sutherland? Very, very brutal. And that's the bizarre thing, you've got all these people cleared where they used to, and you can see the remnants of it everywhere. You can see the remnants of old crofting settlements all through all these straths, and now the people have gone, and it's forlorn and it's sad. And the result of it, ironically, is just we have this amazing wilderness. I think for me personally, I know that lots of people describe other parts of Scotland as wilderness, like the Cairngorms and things like that, but I don't really see them like that. I suppose the plateau is, but because there's so many people there, it always feels like it feels like a national park. It feels like somewhere that people do go to, or drawn to. But the wilds in Sutherland, there are of course honeypots here. All the mountains are, the big hills are. Although none of them are as busy as anything down south. But the space in between, very few people come here, and this feels like a proper big, wild place. I mean, that's why, of course, it's been very, very contentious, controversial about the hydro and wind developments that are happening up here, because it is, on the one hand, perceived as being a vast sort of resource to plunder, and on the other hand, it is this enormous space, the biggest space we have left, that's really untouched, but with that caveat that it wasn't untouched, and it only looks the way it does because of human hand over hundreds and hundreds of years. Interesting place, beautiful place. Anyway, I'm here for a week, based in Kinlochbervie, well, just west of there actually, Old Shore Moor, for a week, and this is the first full day of what is a month away from Fife. Not that I want to get away from Fife, but you know, this is where I'm in my element, I suppose, doing things like this and writing and blogging and the stuff I love doing. My job as a countryside ranger in West Lothian is seasonal, and it means that it only lasts until December or January. On this case, this year, it lasted until the end of February. My next contract starts at the beginning of April, which means I have 4 or 5 weeks free to go and explore. So this week I'm hoping to blog for some more places, do a few more video blogs, but there should be more coming out in the subsequent weeks too, because after this, next week I'm off to Ardnamurchan for a week, somewhere I've never been, very excited about that. After that I'm on Butte for 2 nights, then I'm on Arran for 3 nights, and then I'm all the way back up to Strathpeffer, up to Contin, up that way, doubling back on myself. And then after that, over to North Uist. So really getting about, racking up the miles, seeing a lot of Scotland, And you'd hope that if you're away for a month, you're going to get good weather at some point, surely. Having said that though, 3 years ago, which was the last time I was really up in this part of the world, I spent 2 weeks here, in 1 week in Cumbrace and 1 week in near Stour in Assen. And I thought to myself before I went, if I get 2 days hill walking, 3 at a push, I'll consider that a success, given the weather in February. In the end I got 1, I got a Ben Clibrec. Well, that was a good day, but it was very cold. And then I managed to get up Stack Polly on a lull between storms, but I didn't even get to the top because it was so icy. So 1.5 days out of 2 weeks. You never know how it's going to be. I found somebody else's footprints that I'm using. If they were up here yesterday, I'm exceedingly jealous. Oh, what a stunning day. I mean, there was not a cloud in the sky. It was amazing. I did get views of Arkle and Benvironment at the end of the day, and it was glorious. So I'll follow these anyway and see where they go. They're heading in the general direction I want to go in. Got to be apprehensive about following someone's footprints. What's annoying about following people's footprints, actually, I was up Ben Clou, heading up there a couple of months ago, and the snow was, I hadn't brought snowshoes. I was really disappointed. I should have done. Actually, I had them in the car, but just didn't take them with me, stupidly. I forgot because I was so excited about getting out for the first time in snow in months. Stepping in, footprints are already there. It's really hard going in the snow, so I was using the 1 set of footprints there were, but it's always some tiny person with size 4 feet, or some fell runner who, you know, sort of who gingerly puts their feet into the snow like a deer, like a gazelle or something. And the stride's always too short, so I always end up having to take my own strides anyway and get knackered. Other people's footprints aren't usually that much use to me. But then later that day, 2 other guys, the only other 2 people I saw all day, were coming up behind me. When I turned around and was heading back, they'd been following my footprints. As soon as I got within shouting distance, they just yelled out, "Who are you, the effing Yeti?" They were shorter than me. And I didn't think I took that big strides, but apparently I do, with my massive flapping feet. So yeah, don't follow me if you're following me up a hillside in the snow. Well, Ben's stack is now clear, as is almost Ben He, very nearly, and up there is where we're going. So, oh come on, still a bit gloomy, but gloomy's fine. Just want to be able to see where I'm going. Glorious, glorious. Feels like it's getting murkier. Ben's stack's disappearing again. I stopped a moment ago because getting up high and in snow this time of year, I will burn even through this. And of course, even glancing at a bottle of sun cream instantly makes the sun run a mile and brings a cloud in. If you believe that our thoughts can influence the weather. I do wonder sometimes. Yeah, not what I was hoping for. Just complete whiteout, which is interesting and lovely in itself because it's been a very long time since I've been in a whiteout, even though it's not a complete whiteout. It is that direction. You cannot see anything. Anyway, the summit's up there, and once I get up there I'll decide whether to go on to the next one or not. I suspect if it's like this I won't. which are disappointing, but what can you do? There we are, that's the first summit anyway. The next one's way off behind me by the ridge. Wow. I feel a bit of an arse really, sitting here with my sunglasses on. Well, I'll have something to eat, a cup of tea, cake as always, and then make a decision. I've actually got no idea what time it is, I haven't checked my watch in to set off actually, so that'll be a factor too. Well, the summit is over there. This is the Benvironment, that's the ridge. I'll see how far I get, I'll see how we go. It's intermittently getting a little bit better. Yes, maybe it's clearing. I could just be being too optimistic. I've still got time, still got quite a bit of daylight left, so I may as well. The knee's not feeling bad, so let's give it a go. Well, it may not have completely cleared from Arkle proper, but back the way, that's looking pretty good out there. Much clearer than it has been. The summit's clear here now, all the way over there. That wall over there in the distance, if you can see that. Just zoom in. Is the camera focusing? Oh yeah, that there. That's Ben Hope presenting its gloriously craggy side in this direction. Well, it's all turned into quite a stunning, well, it's all turned out to be quite stunning, quite frankly. I mean, it's not clear, utterly clear. I mean, over there it's definitely more murk coming in off the sea, but looking out this way, I mean, it's pretty stupendous. It's a lovely little spot. I'm in here with no wind. It's not a sound. Can't hear anything. I can hear ringing in my ears though, that's a bit worrying. But other than that, there's no sound at all. It's wonderful. Well, the poles have gone away in favour of the axe. Not that I think you'd have time, quite frankly, to actually rest yourself. Quite big drops on both sides, and it's not a huge amount of snow. I know it looks very snowy, but it really isn't. It's cosmetic for the most part. It's good fun though. It is quite exposed. There's that sense of a drop on both sides, but it's nothing too precarious. I think it actually helps sometimes having the snow down. And it's intermittently clearing, so pressing on. See, there's a lot of crampon marks from the people that have been through before me. I've got my crampons with me, but I don't know, it's those marginal conditions really, because it's such a rocky landscape. I'd be wary about putting crampons on because you're going to snag your teeth, and the crampons will slip on slabby rocks much more freely perhaps than your boot will. So I think actually it's safer to not have them on something like this. Anyway, it's funny how when you're teetering along something that's quite narrow, you could quite easily just sort of practically run along it if you knew that the drop was only 2 feet and you could just jump off or fall onto a mattress. Up here, as I was just back there, I sort of just had to compose myself to walk across and take a deep breath and I told myself on my head, and it's just like walking along a bench or something. I'm not sure I entirely convinced myself. Anyway, I have to do it all over again in a bit. You've got to come back the same way. Yes! Well. It is. I mean, there's still tinges of blue up there, so I don't know. I mean, give it another 10-20 minutes. I can see the clouds moving overhead now, so it's definitely improving. I'm not going to hang around though. I'm going to go, but I'm really pleased. I know I haven't had the weather that was forecast, but it's always worthwhile. I mean, I would have, if it had been completely murky without even sort of a view of the ridge, I think I might have been I would have been disappointed. But when you get those marginal conditions where it's sort of coming in of being clear and going out, and coming into visibility and going out, it's that mixture of never really knowing which way it's going to go. It just adds a bit of atmosphere, I suppose. It's actually a very atmospheric place to be on a ridge when you're getting swirling cloud and whatnot. So I'm content with that. I'm pretty pleased. I had some cracking views, and by all accounts, the views from the ridge are actually better and more expansive than here, because this is a plateau, and so you can't necessarily see off it. Although I dare say you'll be able to see a long way and see to the coast, which is something I can't do just now, sadly. But I'm well pleased, and my knees held up. I'm only halfway though. It's like all those people that get to the top of Everest, and then that's only half the battle, I guess. It's got to get down again. So I'll see how my knee does on the way down. But it's fared okay. As I said, my physio did say if it gives you any jip on the way up, then turn around and go back, and it hasn't done that. So, but going down's a whole other matter. So we'll see how it does. There you see, brightness and swirling cloud. I can see it. Actually, I can see it. It is now clearing. Look, you can see it. There's definitely. Oh, look. It is clearing. Wow. Sunshine, finally. Sunshine. I'm not feeling any warmth off it. Very nice. Back to the ridge again. Bit of a better view of it now, actually. Tumbling away to the right. Well, we had no view the last time I was here. This is the first summit. So this is the view that we didn't get before. Clearing up quite quickly now, although Arkle itself, over there, still in cloud. But that's fine. It's nice to remember the little brightness and get a bit of a